if you're hitting on the back edge over there.
It's all good.
You good?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Joe Oppedisano.
Very good.
And here's a little secret, because you're asking me through text and just before we started talking,
right.
Like, what do you want to talk about?
Right.
My little secret is I don't really do research on people. Like, I looked you up real quick. I saw you had a Twitter. I saw you had a bunch of photography.
Right.
I saw some of your work, and I was like, okay, I don't want to know too much.
Right.
Because I want you to tell me.
Oh, okay.
So welcome, Joe. You are a professional photographer, which, can I say, that is one of the, since I was a little kid, that's been the most curious and fascinating professions to me, because I don't understand it. What do professional photographers do?
Well, I'm not a good person to ask because I started my career as a fashion editor. I was a kid. I was living in Italy. I was a wise ass, and I got myself in a fashion show. I was walking the runway, and I didn't listen to what I was told to do. There were stylists. When you're in a fashion show or in a photo shoot, there's stylists, people who dress you and make it, they do the scarf this way because that's the look of the show, And this was a huge designer in Italy, and Romeo Gigli. And the show was actually, it was in the center of Florence, and they had blocked off the 5 streets into the center of Florence by the Duomo, and there was one chair that along the streets, there was one chair each, and that's where each editor from all over the world sat around there, and the models, all we had to do was walk through the streets with a bicycle, and sweaters tied around us and stuff, and so I was 19, and I'm a New York boy, and I'm from Guilderland, but I moved to New York when I was 17, and I looked at the way she did it, and I didn't like it, so I went to the mirror and I adjusted it, and then she came back. She said, "No, this way," and she left. I adjusted it, so I did it again, and I was ready to go out. They were ready to let me out the door to walk the streets, do the runway, and she said no, and she went to grab me, and another woman grabbed her and said, let him go, in Italian. So I did the show, whatever, and the following Monday, I was dating this guy who worked for Romeo Gigli. So when I got home that night, because I was going to FIT, the Polimoda, which was the FIT in Florence, he says to me, was there a problem with the show? And I said, no, why? And he's like, well, I got 2 phone calls about you. And I was like, oh. And I knew what the one was. I knew it was her bitching about me doing it my way. And he said, yes, I got her phone call. And he also got a call from someone else, someone who wanted me to think about doing an internship with her. And I was like, well, who is it? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you because you're going to do it. And I know you, and you're going to want to do it, and you're not going to do it. You're going to ruin my career because you're going to make a mess. I said, what is it? I'm going to do it. So it was this woman from Italian Vogue, which is the biggest magazine in the world.
Whoa. So
I did that for a couple of weeks. I went there, and then they weren't paying me, and school ended, so I came back to New York, and I got a job immediately at W Magazine, which is Fairchild Publications at the time. It was W, Women's Wear Daily, DNR, which is the men's wear version of Women's Wear Daily, and so I became this big, like immedially. This like.
How far into your modeling career were you? You said you were 19.
It wasn't a modeling career. They just asked me because they thought, this guy saw me on the street and asked me,
no
kidding.
To photo shoot. Wait, this was your first one?
Yeah, I only did one.
This is your first photo shoot?
The only one. No, my first. No. It was my first fashion show. I was walking as a model, but I didn't want to be a model. They just saw me on the street, and because my boyfriend was working with them, they said, oh, you should walk in the show. And I said, okay, whatever.
So you didn't know the rules. That's why you're changing your scarf and everything that you wanted.
I knew the rules. I knew the rules. I just didn't pay attention. I knew the rules, but I don't follow rules very well at all. So
that might make some people uncomfortable. That brings me great comfort.
I don't care.
That brings me great comfort when somebody doesn't follow. You follow your own rules.
Right. I make the rules. I like to make my rules.
It's the only way to live life, really. That's the only way. Like, it's the only way that makes sense.
Exactly. Like, it's funny because I have the later part of my life, when I was Christmas Day 2010, I was in a really bad car accident. I have a really bad brain injury. It's not really bad. It's bad.
Well, anything brain related is terrifying.
Right. I mean, anyway, but the thing that's really funny is I feel like when I was younger and I was an editor and I was a photographer and stuff, I feel like people used to call me shameless. Like, that was shameless. That's what they would. That was which I loved. I was like, yeah, I'll do anything. I'll do anything and turn it out. I'll do it. I'll do anything, and I'll make it fucking fierce. And I didn't care what you thought. I didn't ask you what you thought because it didn't matter. I would do what I wanted. The one thing about my brain injury, I think, is that I feel like I've lost my confidence and my cockiness, the very thing that made me who I was, that made me such a force to reckon with. So, and I told my therapist this. I've told 3 therapists this, and I said I think I lost my confidence. They're like, you're one of the cockiest motherfuckers I ever met. I'm like, but you should have seen me then when I was younger. So that's what I'm trying to deal with right now. Like, I'm trying to figure out. I'm on this I'm on this journey back, trying to climb back and get not my career back, but get back in life, because this brain injury really messed me up. But I know I'm not that same person, but I miss that person. One of the things, I had complete memory loss for 3 months at one point, and when I woke up from that, one of the first things I remember saying to my mother was, "I'm not the same person." She said, "What do you mean? Of course you are." And I said, "No. There's something inside me. I know something's different. And I don't know what it is. And I don't know how to describe it. But it's weird."
Now, when you say you lost that confidence, but other people are saying, "What are you talking about?
Well,
you still have it."
I'm pretty arrogant. I mean,
I don't like the word arrogant because I
like
think other people say it. Like people throwing shameless at you, right?
Right,
it was kind of like a disparaging remark, I'm sure. No, but in your mind, was it empowering to you? Yeah, did they think it was disparaging?
They didn't think it was disparaging. It was more of a.
Joe will do it.
Yeah, it was more like wow, Yeah, it wasn't disparaging. It wasn't a put down. It was just that they were so, kind of in awe of how shameless, and I am. I was shameless in a way. I'll show you my work.
Well, it's so. Do you think that? So other people still think you're confident or arrogant, whatever it is, but you don't feel that. So is it more of an internal thing?
It's internal.
It's completely internal, but to the outside world, everybody's like, "Oh, Joe's back. He's fine. What are you talking about?"
Well, that was the problem with my brain injury to begin with, because I was in a car. It was Christmas Day, 2010. I was in Catskills visiting a friend, and I left his house because there was this blizzard, and I had to get my dog because my dog was at my parents' house. So, and they're 80, and they couldn't. He was a big boy. So, I started driving back, and I don't know what happened, but the car slid down a hill in Catskill, wrapped around a tree. But they didn't find me for 7 hours because of the blizzard was so heavy. And it was only after the blizzard stopped that this woman and her husband were driving by, and this woman said, is that a car wrapped around that tree? That's how they found me. And my brain had broken through my skull. This spots where, sorry about that.
Yeah, I see that.
My brain, my hair won't grow back because my skull was broken. My brain was out of my head. And the only reason they think I'm alive was because the freezing kept my brain intact. So which is crazy.
Wow,
crazy. I was in a coma for 2 weeks. I had complete memory loss for 3 months. I had a brain surgery, and but then I went to Sunnyview in Schenectady, which is a rehab center. I was there for 3 years, and I healed pretty well. You know, I could walk and talk and this and that, so everyone thought I was fine because I was functioning fine and I was feeling fine. I was living with my parents. I had to move out of my house in New York City and live with my parents for 3 years, which was a fucking nightmare. To be this age and live with your parents is a nightmare.
Were your parents cool though?
They're very cool,
All right.
and it was a very wonderful experience. It was really nice.
So they weren't the problem, but the idea of
Just
living
the idea,
giving up
right.
that life and needing to
Yeah.
essentially take a step back.
Well, yeah, because my life before that. Okay, so let's rewind. Just months before I got the accident, I was living in New York City. I was now a photographer. I had switched careers. I was shooting for Calvin Klein. I was shooting for New York Times. I had 2 books out. My first book, Testosterone, is the #1 best-selling gay erotic photo book of all time, which is amazing. Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have that tattooed anywhere on you?
I don't.
Or does the shirt kind of speak for
This
itself?
is actually, I'm doing a t-shirt line. This is the cover of the shirt.
Dude, that's a dope ass
This
shirt.
is the cover of the book. It's this guy giving you the finger with a cigar.
Yeah, if you're just listening to this, Joe's wearing a shirt with a sexy dude with a cigar in his mouth giving you the finger. So this whole time I'm going to be sitting here with that guy,
Right, exactly.
which is great.
Well, that was the cover of the book.
That right there's the cover?
That's the cover. But full color.
Instant conversation piece. And you'd be like, oh, that's my book. Is that the idea behind that?
Well, no, actually, I had this idea about doing a t-shirt line with it because I had a friend, my friend David Dalrymple, who's a really great designer. He designed for Pat Fields in New York City. I don't know if you know that store, Pat Fields. It's like all the drag queens work there. It's a really fabulous New York club store. And when this came out, we did this as a t-shirt for a little bit. But then he also, being a designer, he got this print and he put it on and he made a girl's mini dress, like a really short mini dress, and they sold out in like minutes. So I'm thinking it's years later, and the book is I'm talking to the publisher about doing a re-release of the book, like for 20 years, because it's almost 20 years, 17 years. So I wanted to do a t-shirt line, but I want to do it myself. Like I want it. So that's I'm just playing. This was just a playing with colors.
So that's one of a kind right now?
I have about 20 of these in my house, but different colors. But yeah.
Wow, Testosterone. So that came out. What, 2000? What year are we at now? I don't even know what year we're at now. Early 90s or late 90s. 98, 97.
I don't even remember the year.
But 20 years, and it's
almost
still
20 years.
It's still #1, or it was.
It sold more copies than any other book of that kind.
That's great.
Like photos, gay, but it was the gay subject, photos and
dude, and this is pre-Amazon. This is pre-internet, really, right? So it's time for a re-release.
Yeah. It's pre. Yeah. That's true. I didn't even think about that. But it's true.
Dude, you have a whole new market.
Well, it's really funny because a friend of mine, he sent me a link, and when I went on the link, it was for eBay. And they had the book, and someone was selling it for $6,000 because they had someone smart had gone the very night of the book signing, the opening night after the book came out at Rizzoli on 57th Street, New York City, and I had a bunch of my models there, and some of them, the book was like Abercrombie and Fitch boys, Calvin Klein boys, and then all these big muscle men, whatever, and friends of mine. So somebody had gotten somebody to sign, all the models to sign the book, and then they're selling on eBay for $6,000. Like, wow, it's genius. That
is.
I wish I got a cut of that. But yeah.
So back me up, because we're working on like 3 really interesting stories right now. So it's Italian Vogue. So you get that call from, there's 2 phone calls, one complaining and one saying a job.
Well, just saying that.
What was the job with Italian Vogue?
It was to intern. It was to be an intern. It wasn't a paid job, but it was a job to sit. Basically, what happens when you're a fashion editor is well, let me explain. I'll explain it this way. When I went to Women's Wear Daily and W and that company when I went there. So I was actually working for DNR, which is the men's version of Women's Wear Daily, which is it's a daily publication that goes out about fashion, women's fashion, and everybody gets it. Everybody in fashion gets it all over the world. It's a huge magazine. This was the menswear version of that. So as an editor for that, I worked for one of my assignments was I was the men's tailored clothing editor. So I would go to all of I would go to Brooks Brothers and those kind of companies and see what they had, and I would go to the fashion shows and I would talk to their PR people and pull clothes from them, shoot them for our magazine, send them back, and then it was stuff like that. It was it was like not PR. I was an editor. I was and then I would tell a story about, the window pane plaid is happening for spring 2008 or whatever.
Got it.
So that's what you do. You're responsible for coming up, seeing, going to see all these different designers, pulling trends from it, like seeing pink is the hot color for spring or whatever, and then finding clothes that best represent that, pulling them in, having a model come in, getting a photographer, shooting it, sending the clothes back, and then we did that each week. We had because I had one day, Thursday was my day, and I had the shoot done and the editing done. So it was a hard job.
Right.
Yeah, it was a hard job.
That's consuming.
Yeah, very time consuming. I was there 16, 17 hours a day. I loved it.
Because that attracts a lot of good people in that industry, I bet.
Yeah. And it was the 90s. It was a different time when people had money. And it's true. You know what I mean? Like, people had money. There was one fashion show I remember for John Bartlett, who I went to college with, and then he became a really big designer right away. But one of his fashion shows was I actually brought my boyfriend Hilton at the time because I wanted him to see a fashion show, what a real fashion show looked like. And it was at the Armory on the east side. This huge space. And so, all the chairs were lined up all around the stage and or all around the runway. And out of nowhere, these men on horseback came out. I mean, this was the kind of people spent this kind of money, like men on horses. They were the runway models,
right?
And then at one point, and he was blown away. But then, it was every top male model that you'd see on cover of GQ and that kind of stuff. These kind of guys, and then all of a sudden, at one point for the finale, it was so gorgeous. I always remember out of the ceiling, which was 10 stories high, snow kept falling onto the runway. It was so beautiful, so magical. And I remember I felt so happy that I got to show him that, because it was something so beautiful. And then years later, now fashion shows are just the model walking. It's just because no one has money. No one has money to do those kind of parties.
It's harder to do the wow factor.
Yeah. I mean,
or people don't put the effort into it.
No, I think it's people that are greedy and that nobody wants to spend that extra money to make something really spectacular. I mean, they still do it. Like Chanel, if you just go to YouTube and hit Chanel Couture runway show, they do, amazing stuff. But that's money. They have perfume money. You know what I mean? It's like zillions of dollars.
Right.
So, yeah.
Is that an American versus European thing, you think?
No.
Do they still go for it with the horses in the snow in Europe?
Well, they Chanel does. Just Google it. Just go on YouTube and Google Chanel, runway.
I'll check it out.
Oh, you'll be blown away. Seriously.
I've never been to a fashion show.
Oh, well.
But now, dude, just you telling me these for a few minutes, right. I'm like, oh shit, I got to put that on the list.
People used,
that's on the list now. Now I need to go to a fashion show.
Just go, and or what else is really great to do is Google the Japanese designers runway shows, because they're really sick. They are the most twisted motherfuckers. They do shit some of I remember my favorite designer, Ray Kawakubo, who does Comme des Garçons. I taught last summer at the art center in Troy. I wrote and taught a class that was it wasn't a class. It was a summer camp, and they asked me to come up with this. It was for middle school kids, and it was fashion photography. So the first day, I was like, I don't know how to like explain fashion to them, because what they think of fashion is like Abercrombie and Fitch or Macy's or whatever.
Whatever's at the mall.
Right. So the first day, I had this great room, all these Macs and big screen in the front. And I just showed them like Chanel and the Japanese designers, and they were just blown away. And I don't know, it's really fun to see people get so grossed out almost by fashion.
Like fifth graders?
They were, I don't know, middle school. How, like 14-year-olds.
I don't even know.
All they did was sit on their phones and like, on their, I don't know what the apps are, but they're like dating apps. And I was like,
right.
It's silly. But
our attention span sucks. It's getting worse.
Well, social media has ruined humanity. I mean, people don't know how to talk to each other. They don't know how to, they don't know how to be clever or use words in a, interesting way to get, to say something. Everyone's just, it's like, what, it's how are you? It's just HR, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's like, the only emotion they know is OMG or LOL or.
Do you know my biggest problem with texts? I mean,
I hate text.
Oh, I hate it too.
Text.
I absolutely hate. You know, my biggest problem is no one starts a text like with hi or hello. They just go right into a conversation.
What's up?
It's like yeah, exactly. You're lucky if you get that. Most of the time though, it's like, say, hey, if I haven't texted with somebody in 3 or 4 days, like we're starting a whole new conversation in my mind. It requires a new greeting. But they just start picking up again and and I'm like, dude, can you just say hi first?
Right.
Like I start all of my text with hi or hello. If it's the first one of that day, no matter who it is, if it's somebody I text with every day, they get a hi or hello every time, just because I'm like, with you, I love words and I love communicating. And people, I feel like, to your point, we've lost our love of words and communicating.
Yeah. Or even just, it's...
Okay, and you're right, it's so shortcut. No, sound like an old man if you're about to.
Well,
is that what you're about to say?
No, I wasn't. I was going to say...
Because I know I sound like an old man.
I was going to say, I'm going to give you way too much information right now, but like on dating apps or hookup apps, I'm gay. There's a million hookup apps, and, if I'm talking to someone looking to hook up or just whatever, and I give you my phone number, that means call me. Let's try to make it happen.
That's pretty clear.
Okay, so this is what I've learned. If someone texts me after that, I don't even respond, because I want to hear your voice. I want to hear, and voice is important to me. I like to hear. I like to know who I'm talking to, because you hear a lot. I want to hear you laugh. I want to hear you over the phone. I'll make a joke. I want to hear you how you react to things. I want to hear what your views are. But hear it from you, not a text where you're being short. And I'm wordy. I like to talk. So if they text me, I just ignore it. I'm like, well, you don't get it.
Well, it's also an effort thing, right? Like you're trying to accomplish. I want to know you, the person.
And also, I'm trying to get laid.
Yeah. Time is running out, man.
I only have 5 minutes.
But yeah, it's also to see how if somebody's caring enough to call you, like you're saying, here's my number, call me. Yeah. That means
that's pretty private information.
Yeah, you're gonna put like if you're putting that effort out there to call me versus just texting me like your little short words. It's like, okay, how much is this going to be? Are you trying to get laid or are you trying to have a relationship? But regardless, it's an indication that person probably is taking the shortcut.
Even if I'm just trying to get laid, I still want to know who I'm with. I don't want to, there's nothing better than at least having, because all I'm seeing is the best pictures that you want to show me. That's all I'm seeing. I'm not seeing what you really look like. The picture I'm seeing is maybe 10, 15 years old sometimes. Who knows? Right. I don't know who you are. But then if you get on the phone with me and you speak, at least, You can tell a lot from a person's voice. And
before we started this podcast, I told you, or maybe I said it too, like I didn't look anything up about you because that's, I mean, in a non-gay dating way, that's the same way.
My Scruff app.
Well, to your point about like, I don't know what the internet is putting out there. Like it's a low resolution, one dimension, right? So I'm like, I don't kind of want to know that about whoever I'm sitting with. I want you. Like I'm surprised. We were neighbors for like a year or so, and I didn't know that. I just knew you as neighbor Joe, who I would see occasionally. And then you walk in, I'm like, oh, that's neighbor Joe. And if I had done a little bit of more research, looking at pictures, finding you, I'm like, oh, okay, I know who I'm gonna sit. But I didn't want that. I like surprises, and you get more surprises when you're actually talking to a person. You're revealing a person. You're gonna get more information. Whereas, dude. I noticed this like 10 years ago or so when one of my friends started dating. He broke up with his girlfriend, which was, we were in our late 20s at that time, and he started dating a girl that was 22, and it was just text nonstop. And I'm like, dude, what is that? He's like, if you want to date a girl now, this is where you have to do it. It sucks, but you have to do it. I'm like, I can't do that. I have a gay question.
Okay.
Was Grindr... Let's put a pin in that one. Let's put a pin.
We'll go back to that.
Is Grindr still a thing? I heard of that years ago.
No, Grindr's still a thing. I don't use it.
I thought it was a pretty clever damn idea. That's the one you see your map and then you see all these dots around.
Not even you see. No, not even you see. It's like if I'm not on Grindr. I'm Scruff, which is a different kind of guy. I think Grindr is more people who are just looking at text and meet people on. I don't think people on Grindr really hook up. Maybe. I don't know. They do, right. but Scruff is one that's more of an immediate. I'm looking at laid, but still the people play games. But what was the question? It's still a thing.
Yeah. It's Grindr still a thing.
If you open up the page, you go on the page and it'll say, it'll have like 12 pictures, all like a inch big, and you'll see what basically someone looks like, what they want to show you, and it'll say the screen name and then like 0.6 miles away, or 2.0 miles, or whatever away.
When I first heard of it years ago, they were saying there's like a location thing.
Straight people now too.
They what?
They do that for straight people now too. Tinder.
Dude, I don't need any of that. I've had the same girlfriend for like 20 years.
Oh really?
Dude, that's I'm nice. Like it is very nice.
Oh, that's really nice.
Dude, it's not easy. Well, actually, it is easy because I'm easy to get a relationship with. But yeah, it's the whole dating thing. It's just I have many single friends who have. It's so ubiquitous now, the online thing, and they all have complaints about it. And I'm like, but there's also because it seems like it sucks.
Yeah, because like in the old days, being gay, and I'm a whore, so this is how it happened in New York City. I was 17, moved to New York City. I was a hooker. I was dancing at a porn place, and
whoa,
I was a hooker,
legit hooker,
a legit hooker. Well, there's one thing I always say, if you live in New York City and you have certain requirements it takes to be a hooker in New York City and you don't do it, you're an idiot. Because there was a point I was breaking in, like in the 20s, I mean, in the early 90s when I was still doing it to make money, I was making $20 grand a month. Seriously, a month.
You're in the big leagues there, right?
Well, that's New York, though. That was New York. I mean, there were, there was online. There was ways to hook up online. There was, and I remember my friend Keith, my best friend, came in the house one day. He was furious at me. He's like, "You got to stop doing that. That's horrible. I can't believe you're doing that." Because I was working as a fashion editor in the daytime. And then doing this at night because I was making so much money. Sorry.
Was that the primary motivation? Was the money, or like this is a cool lifestyle?
No, it was the money. But $20 grand a month? I mean, seriously.
That's absurd.
That
doesn't even make sense. That's absurd. That does not equate.
But it was possible. Yeah, because my friend Keith came over and he was furious. You gotta stop doing this. I opened up. I handed him the box. I said, "Open that box," and he did. And he said, "What is it?" There's all this money. I said, "Count it." It was $20 grand. He was like, "Where is it?" That's what I made this month. Like, why would I not do it? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, and also, I'll tell you, being a hooker, working at W, working at Tiny Vogue, all those things combined made me the photographer I am, because my work is super sexual. It's super aggressive. It's super shameless. And because I was an editor and seeing all these really refined things in the daytime and then being a nasty hooker at night, okay, so how can I tell you this story without telling it, because it's really gross? But
I think just start it with, I had a friend.
No,
actually, no, you're not a dude who's to say I had a friend. You own yourself.
I had a client who how can I tell this story? I had a client once who hired me for a 3-year period of time, about 3 years. I had to be at his apartment the first Monday of the month at 4:30 a.m. The doorman knew who I was. I was introduced to the doorman. It just buzzed me up. The door was open. I was walking into the apartment, and I'm talking real money. I'm talking like real money. Like, I'm not talking nouveau riche. I mean, these are people who have had, like Kennedy kind of money, because you walk in their house and you know something's different, right? So, and it's not, tacky money. It's old furniture, old, like my big apartment, New York City. I'll go in and into the kitchen. There was a pantry. Into the pantry, and when you went into the pantry, there was another pantry. And when you go in the pantry, there he was, and he was covered in rubber, and he wanted me to do some pretty nasty stuff.
Covered in rubber.
He was in a rubber latex suit.
Was it blue? I'm picturing blue.
No, it was black. And it had a mouthpiece and eyes. That's it. Otherwise, I never saw the guy.
Was this custom made?
He had money. I don't know.
I'm wondering if I could buy one of these.
Well, probably. I mean, this was. I'm sure it was custom. This guy had money.
So wait. So you're saying you never saw the guy?
Well, no, but I used to see his eyes, and he had beautiful blue eyes, and he was a nice guy. We would speak. We would talk. I would do really nasty things to him, and I never had to have sex with him at all. It was never sexual. So I did these other things, and then I'd leave. And as I was leaving, I don't know where it came from, but as I'm walking through that grand apartment, that at the main door there was a like a big desk next to the door, and there's always an envelope sitting there. I don't know where it came from, because the envelope wasn't there when I walked in, but it was there now. So I would grab the envelope and just go downstairs and open up the envelope, and it was $1,000 always. $1,000, and sometimes I would have tips of $300-$400 just from this one guy. He put me through college. This guy, like, he was so over the top and so okay. So
he valued your service.
He valued my service, and he paid well for it. Paid well. So years later, I did a boxing documentary of me. We did I'm now a photographer, and we did one of the I had this agent, and one of the things we were going to do to make as a money thing was, I had so many people buying my books and knowing my work and following me, that we decided, let's create a documentary of me photographing these guys. I don't shoot my photos. They're very erotic, and they're very over the top and aggressive sexually, really, and there's nudity in it, but I don't shoot it as porn. I shoot it as fashion. So it's a beautiful way about it. Beautiful lighting, beautiful locations, beautiful clothing, beautiful, like, everything's done. Hair, makeup, lighting, everything. So I got these 8 guys, 5 of them straight, and we shot. They were MMA fighters. So I had them, and I got these gay guys who looked the part, and we shot at Gleason's gym, which is a really big, Gleason's
Yeah.
gym. We shot at Gleason's gym.
Yeah, wow.
And it's a video of me photographing the guys, and it's really beautiful. Why was I telling this story? Where were we going with this? Oh, okay. So the you're gonna love this story. You're gonna be shocked when I tell you this story. So so along with the documentary, all the photos I had done, we were showing in a gallery at one point. So there's a gallery show. So I'm at the gallery show, and the gallery owner, one of the gallery girls, I see her talking to this guy, and he looked at me a couple of times. He looked familiar, but I didn't know, whatever. And so I see her go, behind the gallery, like into the offices and whatever. She comes out like an hour later. She's like, "You just sold 2 prints." I was like, "That's great. They're 1,500 a piece." And I was like, "That's fabulous." So when he left, he walked by and he looked at me, and I looked at her, and I was like, "Something about him looks familiar to me." Whatever. So about 2 months later, and I asked the girl at the gallery, "Who was it? What's his name?" She told me his name, and I was like, "Where does he live?" And she told me his address, and I was like, "It seemed very familiar, this guy." I didn't know what it was. So one day I'm in the Upper East Side, walking home, and I'm walking in down the street, and I look up, and all of a sudden I see the apartment building. And I was like, I checked my notes. That was the same address. I was like, I know that apartment building. So I went over, and because I'm shameless, and I went to the doorman, and I said, I had the guy's name, and I said, "Is Mr. So-and-so here?" And he said, "Hold on." He called upstairs, and there's Mr. So-and-so there, and he says, that's who he's talking to. And he says, "Who are you?" And I said, "Joe Oppedisano." And he said, "Joe Oppedisano's here to see you." Well, he's like, "Oh, okay, all right, I'll tell him." So the doorman hangs up, and he says to me, he's like, "I don't know who you are," but he got very flustered and asked that you come back either another time or he's very busy tonight. And I was like, "Okay." So "Can I just wait here a little bit?" He's like, "Sure." So I'm sitting in the lobby and I'm waiting. And like an hour later, he called because I realized this. I knew the guy who. Okay.
Can I just say the balls on you? My God.
What do you mean?
Just like you said, you're shameless.
Right.
That takes balls.
Well, I realized
to go into that building.
Well, I realized that guy, when I knew the address, the correct address, I was like, I know that building, and I've been here many times. So about an hour later, I said to the doorman, "Can you call him back one more time and see what he says?" So he called back, and the guy said, "Come up." So I went up. And I go into the door. He opens the door, and he's in a suit, and he's very blah blah blah, like white man, very And he's like, "Hi, can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, you bought 2 pieces for me in my gallery show." And he's like, "Yes." And so he lets me in, and we're talking. He's like, "I love your work. I've been following you." And I said, "That's really nice." I said, "But we know each other." And he's like, "I don't think we do." And I said, "Yeah, we definitely do." And he said, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Because I know this apartment." I said, "I've been in here many times. Once, the first Monday of every month at 4:30 in the morning." And he looked at me. And he's like, "I think you have the wrong person." I said, "No, I don't." And so he realized I put 2 and 2 together and whatever. So I said to him, "Listen, I'm not trying to, I want to thank you because you put me through college, basically. You paid for more than that. You put me through college." And I said, "Honestly, I came because I want to give you a print." I was like, as a thank you. I was like, you helped my life so much. And I want to say thank you for all you did for me." And he's like, "No, you earned, every penny. You always worked for your money." And I was like, "Okay." And I said, "I have to just know," because he had me do some really disgusting things. I said, "I just have to know why you had me do those specific things that were so degrading and so nasty." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, you don't know what I do for a living." And I said, "No, I don't." And he's like, "Well," I said, well, you do something right because you're very wealthy. He's like, well, he was, and now all of a sudden I'm forgetting the guy's name. He worked, what was that guy's? Bernie Madoff. He worked for Bernie Madoff. So you know what that...
Yeah.
He worked for Bernie Madoff. So he said...
Dude, this story's getting deep.
Well, wait to the twist. He says to me, the only way for me to feel human was to be so degraded. He's like, and you did such a great job. You came in here, you did it. You made me feel like shit. And it was wonderful. And I'm like, wow. So that's why all my work after that, all my work as a photographer is, it's all sexual. It's very sexually driven, but I like to find out, like, and it was so easy to do. Like, I wanted to find out, okay, I know you're into this, but what brought you there? Remember we were talking about before? Like, how did you get there? Like, what
kind of person?
What did your parents do to you to make you have to do that?
Yeah, that's quite a leap.
Right.
Like, you're not even being specific, but I can use my imagination. I'm like, that sounds like a leap.
Right.
Whatever was going on is, how does a person get there?
Exactly. So remember you were saying that I said to you, I think you and I are very similar that way because I'm the same way. I want to know everything. And I'm nosy and I'll find out.
Oh, you went there to investigate this guy.
I went to investigate. Well, no, I really didn't. I went into...
No, for your own benefit, though. Like, wait, I have to... You're trying to, like, connect a story.
I just had to know why. Like, why that. It was, I mean, think about the most disgusting thing somebody could possibly do to somebody else. And it's probably worse than what you're thinking. And the sheer just that he came back into your life like that, buying your prints. He'd been following me. He knew who I was.
This is like a Great Expectations kind of thing.
He knew
like
who I was.
You have a silent benefactor that's funding your life.
Well, it was almost amazing because he knew who I was, and I don't know how I put two and two together. I mean, like, my photo was everywhere back in the day. So anyway, my work now as a photographer, I like to show these extreme fantasies and these extreme taboos, but also with like a twist. Like, I want to know why the guy who beat you had to wear Argyle socks and Florsheim brown perforated shoes, like what, like, and I'll use those, like, that fashion, like, I'll style it in ways that represent that, you know what I mean?
Because
like,
it's real to
because
you know it's real.
Well, what's really fucked up to me is like, for example, if your fantasy is to get beat with a belt, we'll say, people are usually pretty specific about it. It's not just like I'm being very, I'm trying to think of how to be really specific about it. If I'm into that kind of degradation or that kind of punishment or that kind of sexual taboo thing, it's probably been a learned thing. It's something that I experienced as a kid, and if I want to get beaten by a belt, whatever, the guy I would assume would be doing that would be a father figure or a grandfather figure, or, you know, like an older.
Because assuming it happened to you when you were a child, it's definitely going to be an older guy that's going to introduce you to that world.
Or a woman, like a mother figure who's going to do it to you. Or,
sure.
You know, whatever terms you want.
Sure.
But, so I like to, in my photo, like if I show, one of the reasons people call me shameless is because one of the same reasons that I've had people email me or on Facebook, they'll come, I love your work, because it's so, you never put things you never photograph people doing these nasty, dirty things, but in a dark room. It's always like in the open sky. You know what I mean? Like blue sky and like out in the open. It's shameless. It's not. It's kind of exposing. It's being exhibitionist, but exposing it even more by saying, "Fuck it,
this is who I am.
That's the whole world. Exactly.
This is what
There's
it is.
No shame in it. Right? There's no shame. I think that's how people should be about sex anyway. You know, whatever you're into, I don't know. Who am I to judge?
It's hard to your point, it's, there should be a lack of shame, because if a human can do it, if it's consenting adults, whatever that means, you know, like, where's the shame? There should be none. I mean, we still have these old puritanical like beliefs, like you can't do that, you can't talk about this. Like, you couldn't even say the word sex, I think, growing up. Like, even me as a little kid, like, they didn't even say sex on TV, I think. And yeah, we were shedding that, thankfully.
Well, and what I would do, because it was kind of the beginning of the internet, and that just happened to me, and I was like, wow, like, I got this new information about people, you know, humans. Like the one thing about being a hooker was it taught me so much about people. I learned more about people than I have in any other job.
You might be the first hooker I've had this kind of conversation. You are, for sure. But I've heard that in a movie.
Oh,
like,
really?
I've heard a hooker say that kind of thing. Like, I do this because I learn a lot about people.
You learn more about people than any
like,
other
it's
job.
a people business.
Totally. If you're smart, you can use it like that. Because I took it all in. I soaked it all in. I'm like a sponge. So I would see how people, you know, I always say, like, the people you would think that somebody who wants to get beat up and raped and you would think that would be like a homeless guy or something like that. Wrong. It's always the richest motherfucker who has the most money, who's in so much control in everyday life, that the only way they can experience is to have someone do that to them. 9 times out of 10. I don't know. I mean, that's a figure I can personally quote as honest. It's like
that's a real human characteristic.
Yeah,
those guys.
People who would take me to dinner or a Broadway show and go back and maybe just want to talk and maybe have sex, maybe they were interested in those were like real people who just needed affection. They were, you know, business guys who just, you know, they weren't the nasty guys. There was the really rich people who, and I'm not saying all rich people are bad, but they were the ones who were affected in a way that it made them lash out. Does that make sense?
Does this go back to, I mean, this is kind of a human archetype, right? Like that the rich guy on Wall Street, the Wall Street banker that no one ever says no to him. Right. He's in complete control of his entire world, and he's fucking bored.
That's the one who wants to
nobody ever tells it.
Right.
Nobody ever tells him the truth.
Right. Exactly.
Everybody, he's surrounded by yes men, yes women.
Right.
Everything is just so fucking easy.
Right.
And then he closes the door and has a hidden pantry.
Exactly.
And he's like, make me feel human again.
Exactly.
And shit in my mouth or whatever.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. I didn't want to say anything, but you somehow...
Joe, I've watched TV, all right? I know I know what people are into.
That's very Roseanne.
I've been to Germany. I know what they're into.
Oh, Germany. God, they're the most disgusting people, the most horrifying pigs in the world, aren't they?
Well, it's not about that culture. It's that conscientiousness. They're the rigid ones. That's the rigid culture. The strict,
they are the
rigid.
most disgusting. The things they want, the things they like, the things they're into are the most over the top.
You're gonna know better than me.
I'm telling you, as from experience, what I've seen. But
they're in New York City too. It's that power thing. It's
a power thing.
Certainly, your life is so clean.
Right.
And the way you describe the guy's apartment is clean, perfect. Just sounds like...
It's like the apartment, the home you would see in a Merchant Ivory movie.
You know the movie American Psycho, Christian Bale?
Of course,
yeah. Like that kind of apartment is what I'm picturing when you were telling me that story.
And that's the same kind of story.
Holy shit, it's the same kind of story. You're right.
It's the same story.
He was bored with his vanilla.
Exactly.
Life is so easy. I have nothing to do.
Exactly.
Am I even human? And then he had this part of his brain that's like, I need to do some fucking debauchered shit.
It's the same story.
Wow.
I know.
That's an archetype. That's a real person. Which is to your point of the domination and showing it in sunlight with blue skies, green grass, and all that. Right. Like No, this is a real person. This is how
Right.
people really live.
Let me show you some of my work.
Please.
I didn't bring any other.
I briefly actually looked at your couple. I forget the name of the magazines, but I saw a couple magazine covers when I typed your name in.
Well, I brought. This was I couldn't find the thing, but this was the DVD knockout. This was the DVD I was saying of the boxing guys.
Right.
But there's some of the photos on my.
Whoa, who's that guy on the left? Do you know his name?
His name is Christian, and he killed himself.
Christian?
Yeah.
Wow, you got some jiu-jitsu near
They were real. They were real fighters.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. He's got the leg lock in there.
I didn't want to get. I only got 3 gay guys to do like the pretty pictures, but I wanted real guys. So these are just covers. There's like other stuff in there, but like there's that. That was from Testosterone. This is a calendar from Testosterone, so you can get a good idea.
Dude, so your name's on a bunch of shit, huh?
Yeah.
You got your book. You got a calendar.
We did calendars. We did postcards. We did magnets. I have magnets.
So this was January and the cover and your shirt.
Or
is that?
Yeah, it was January. Yeah.
That's such a great picture.
Yeah.
Does this dude know that he's on a picture now?
Yes,
20 years later, he's on a T-shirt.
He does. And in fact, it's so funny because I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I know that's one of my favorite. I love that.
Dude, that's. What is this dude thinking, and where did he get his popsicle?
I gave him the popsicle. That was a fashion.
He looks like he's working on an oil rig.
This was on a New York City rooftop. This was all over Paris when this magazine cover came out. It was all over Paris in the streets. It was like they had made I don't know, what do you call it when they
poster boards?
Yeah, poster boards. It was everywhere because it was during Fashion Week. This was for a designer from Carmen Mark Valvo. It was their it was their cover. I don't know if I get anything.
Oh, it's just too kind of you to mix chicks in for me.
Well, I thought I'd show you one or two. 'Cause they're so rare. They're so rare. This is a great story. Do you know who Amy Sedaris is?
I know the name, yeah.
This is Amy. Did you ever see the show Strangers with Candy?
I know of it. I don't know it.
Well, she was my neighbor for 15 years in the West Village. She was my next door neighbor and one of my good friends. She's insane. But so she's an actress, and she would only. This was for this magazine Venus from I don't remember where, but she asked me to photograph her. She asked me to be the photographer for it. So I went, and we had her all made. She's really pretty. The character she played on Strangers with Candy was really ugly. She wore a fat suit, and So I said, I want to show how pretty you are. So we did hair, makeup, whatever. She goes to the bathroom. She took 2 frames. She runs to the bathroom, and she comes out. Like 5 minutes later, with bugs glued to her face. I was like, but I thought that's what I didn't see that. I think so genius.
Dude,
but anyway, this is just more. Like, it's very dark. It's very, very, very.
So what's your favorite thing about taking pictures of these dudes?
Look at what it says.
Photoerotic genius. The photography of Joe Oppedisano.
Genius.
Dude. And that's legit genius. Like genius.
I love that.
That's
I know.
Dude, it's legit.
Nice
genius takes many
forms.
forms.
I want to flip through.
Oh, dude. Yeah. 100% beef. This is already of my life. 37 years old, the most gay magazines I've ever been in the same room with at the same time. That's the most I've ever looked at a gay magazine.
Well, there's more than enough.
Dude, that's... So you still do photos like that?
I do.
Are you doing like
but
prints?
I don't.
Is the magazine world like few and far between?
It's gone, yeah.
Do you have your own website, blogs, stuff like that?
I used to write a blog, and it was when I had my brain injury, and I got really messy because I was really crazy. But it was called I Was Almost an Abortion because I was almost an abortion. I'm adopted, so I use that angle. Like I should have never been born. So
that's the next step.
So because I was not an abortion, I did all these shameless things.
When did you start having that mentality? Do you think that mentality has affected your life? Like
what do you mean?
You were adopted, so that you were that close to abortion.
And then I just use it as
fuck it. I'm gonna do whatever I want with this life because I'm not even supposed to be here.
No, I mean honestly, I use the reason. I'll tell you, you came up with a good, but it wasn't the adoption thing. It was the reason I feel I never should have been here was because I was diagnosed with HIV. It's very positive in '92, and that was a long time ago.
That was a scary goddamn time to have HIV.
Yeah. So I didn't think I was going to live to be 30. You know what I mean? So I partied. I was a drug addict for years. I was doing crystal meth. I was doing coke. I was doing ecstasy. I was doing whatever, K, daily. You know, because I kind of gave up. I didn't think I was going to be 30.
That happened after the diagnosis? You're like, okay, here come the drugs?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because I just thought, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to have fun until I die. And then next thing you know, I'm 51 and it's 2018. And, you know, I wasn't supposed to be here. You know, so that's why I think I lived my life so shamelessly. Because it's a gift. And I said, fuck it, I'm going to have fun. You know what I mean? I made a lot of money in my day. I don't have one penny to back it up. Because I just spent it and had fun. You know, I would go buy $1,500 shirts. You know what I mean? Because I had the money and I didn't care. And I loved it. You know what I mean? It was like...
Do you think you're that same person who would buy $1,500 shirts?
I would still buy it, but I don't have the money to buy it. But if I had the money to buy it, I would buy it because there's a difference between a $1,500 shirt and a $20 shirt.
I've never had a $1,500 shirt on.
Well, it's something. It's designed well, the fabric's well, but it's also the difference between a $1,500 shirt and a $20 shirt is when you put that $1,500 shirt on and you walk out of your house, you know you look good. You know what I mean? You know, because that shirt's so spectacular. You know you look good. It gives you confidence.
Is it like a knight putting on his armor?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know, it's like, you know, RuPaul, one of my favorite old friends from the old days. You know, she's right. Every day, everything we wear is drag. It's all drag. It's just, you know, whatever image you want to put on to represent yourself that day. Everything you put on, that necklace you have on, that T-shirt, it's all a part of the persona that you want to project so that people see and how people react to you when you're in that. It's drag. You know what I mean? It's just a different form of drag.
See, I love hearing that sort of thing because I don't think of fashion that way, but now you're forcing me. Now I'm going to. Now I'm going to.
It's all about fashion. Fashion, you know, if you put on something that you know you look good in and you know is going to get you a job or whatever, you know, it's all about people judge you the second they see you. It's all about you have to always put the best foot forward. You have to. If you come out looking like I'm in sweats and, you know, in Troy, I see a lot, which drives me insane. People with sweats, and they're like dirt bags. And it's like, put yourself in a pair of nice jeans or, you know, dress up, you know, when you go outside. Like, let people see a good thing, not...
It's about what you want to project. Here's my take on that, too. The sweatpants and extra baggy pants and all that stuff. It's like... Because I went to Walmart today, too. I only buy like 3 things at Walmart, and I went there this morning to get one of those 3 things. And just my 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out, I'm just like, why are people wearing their pajamas and flip-flops? And it's the same thing with that and like the baggy pants and all that. I'm like, dude, I get it. Like, you're trying to say, I don't give a fuck. But the problem is that makes me think you don't give a fuck.
Right. Exactly.
And then I don't want to be around someone that doesn't give a fuck. Like, I can't trust you.
Right.
So, to your point, like, you present yourself. I mean, we're just wearing T-shirts, but we're owning them. Like, I'm very comfortable in this shirt.
I wore this for a reason. Like, I didn't know we were going to be on camera, but I mean, you know, and then the pink matches my pink. Like, yeah, I'm very fashion conscious. And I mean, this isn't really a statement, but it is a statement. Like everything you do is a statement.
It's who you are today.
It's who you are. It's who I am right now. Yeah.
Where's your love today, then?
I don't know.
What gets you up? Are you trying to find that pre-2010 Joe?
I'm trying to find what I want to do next. Because I was very lucky. I had 2 careers that were amazing. But I didn't go to school to be a fashion editor. I never took a class in photography, so I don't know anything about. I'm not a. You wouldn't call me to get advice on what to do because I know visually and I can fuck the camera so I get what I want, but I'm not technical, so.
You're like
I'm self-taught.
A Jimi Hendrix. He had a right-handed guitar, but he was left-handed. And he just flipped it upside down and said, "All right, I'm going to play this.
No, just learn it. Just do it.
This is my sound.
Right.
Your camera. This is just. I can't teach you, but this is what I want.
Right. Yeah.
This is how it should look.
Although, so what gets me up is I after my accident, one of the first things I taught at the art center. It was a great class, and it was the class that I based. I just finished writing a fashion photography photo course. Fashion photography, but it's production. It's all the things that it takes to. The class is basically this: if you graduate from FIT or Parsons or whatever for being a photographer. If you graduate today, tomorrow Macy's hires you to shoot their fall campaign. Do you know how much work there is to do do you know how much work you have to do before you click one photo? It's enormous amounts of work that no one's teaching. So I wrote this class, I sent it to FIT. FIT loved it, and so we're now in talks about making it happen, maybe for next year. But that's kind of what I think my next thing is. I don't know, like maybe just teach or maybe, I don't know.
Do you need them? I mean, this is 2018. Do you need FIT? Can you just rent a little office or out of your house and just start giving out business cards? Joe's fashion shooting school.
But having I could do that, but who wants to do that? I mean,
I don't know until you find out, right?
I think what you need is someone like FIT or Parsons or SVA or whoever who has the backing to get the class, because the class has to be done right. It has to have money behind it. You know what I mean? It has to be produced. And for production, you need money. If you want to do something right, you have to do it.
Does that would this somehow fit into, say, like an RPI, their digital technology, their photo, digital design, their art? I mean, we're in a pretty developing artsy area around here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think if someone, it's more for the class was thought of more for people who want to be professional photographers and go and shoot for Calvin Klein or for Macy's or for, because it teaches you all the things about before. Okay, for just this shot, we'll say. So we decided to shoot in a studio. We had to have a stylist. I was a stylist for all my own shoots. You have to hire the right model. You have to hire. I had to get the right lighting there. I had to get hair, makeup, grooming. That's 3 different people. Then you have to get a prop designer, a set designer, and then you need someone. You need the caterer who's feeding everybody. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot to do before you take a click. So it's really more about having the knowledge to do that, but also for me. But what I also mixed in was my knowledge of what I got from the guy who said, "You don't know what I do. This is the only thing that makes me human." I also added a whole part of it about how to really get to know the model you're shooting, to have them give you, because people, like when I shoot, I never ask anybody. I've never asked anybody to do a nude. I've never asked anybody to do anything. But somehow, and if you look at my books, people will do anything you ask, because once they gain that trust, because they knew I was not doing it for any other bad reason, but something beautiful or funny, or maybe, and people. I mean, I would never ask to do a nude, but I don't think any of these, the Abercrombie, the Calvin Klein boys, all these professionals, they drop their clothes in a second when I'm shooting, because my lighting is they know what they're going to get. They know they're going to get beautiful lighting. Their body's going to look great. They're going to look great. It's going to be for something great. So,
well, as soon as you assign seriousness to it, like I'm serious. This is my job. I'm a professional. People just they lose. They get comfortable immediately. This isn't just a dude taking these pictures and going to put it under his mattress.
Well, it's funny.
This is art. This is art.
It's funny you say that, because now, so I'm on Instagram, and on Instagram, I met this guy who's a photographer, and he's down in I don't know, on the East Coast somewhere. I want to say. Anyway, he's a photographer, and he was asking me, I love your work. And he asked me about, all those, when you shoot, all those locations, how do you get those locations? I said, I'll climb a fence, I'll jump a fence, or I'll break into something. If I want a location, I get the location. He's like, well, how do you get guys now? Because you're not living in New York City. Like, how do you get models? And I said to him, well, the best thing I do is I go on the Scruff, the apps, and I have them in my pocket right now. I can show you. I'll say to guys, like it's on a hookup app, but I'll say, I don't want to have sex with you. I want to photograph you. Here's my name.
Dude, that is brilliant.
Yeah, here's my name. Google my work. I have in my phone like a bunch of pictures. I'll send them pictures, and I've had almost everybody get back to me. I've had, it's very rare if people say. Yeah, because everyone now is so goddamn vain anyway. Everyone wants a new selfie. Everyone wants it's all about take pictures of me. So we're in that kind of world right now where it's not hard to get people to do that. But
if you're on Scruff showing pictures of yourself to show off,
right,
you want more pictures.
Exactly.
You want to be rewarded.
Exactly.
Whether that's having a gay hookup sex or just somebody calling and saying, hey, I want to take more pictures of you because you're beautiful.
Right. And when these guys come, I'm very. I shot a guy last weekend, and I'm not the photographer. I'm not the. I hear people think of gay photographers as if I ask you to be a model, you're straight, whatever. But you come, you want to be photographed by me. That my first thing would be to try to have sex with you, because that's the whole gay. That's what people think of.
People still come across like that.
I think that's what people think about gay photographers. You don't think so?
I don't know. For me, I just like that. My face was just not questioning you. It's questioning like, why do people connect that? Like
because
he's just
because there's so many gay photographers who do that. I
don't know. I've had gay friends since high school. And still plenty of gay friends, and I'm like, I never thought they were trying to bang me.
It's not that. All of a sudden, you're in a okay. So,
but now I have that I know I have friends that have that mentality who have no gay friends, no gay affiliations, because they think they're trying to have sex with them.
But understand this. Okay, so we don't know each other, and you come to a shoot, and I do that to you. It's kind of a domination kind of thing. I'm over. I'm almost being aggressive on top of you, and like, you know what I'm saying? It's just I scold that guy on Instagram. I said to him, one thing I want you to know is do not ever try to have sex with a model. Do not ever, because it makes you look like a fucking fool. It makes you look disgusting, and it also shows that you're not serious about what you're doing. You'd rather just try to suck dick or fuck. I was like. And the thing is, you get more respected by people who, when you pull in, you don't do that. People will respect you more, and that's why my models will do anything, because they know I'm not trying to take advantage of them. I never try to take advantage of them. The only thing I ask my models is come in, And for the next couple of hours, we both do it every weekend to make the most amazing pictures and have fun. It's about having fun.
And you're hopefully getting a friend out of it, because if you're asking for the
these
sex,
boys, like these two especially, these boys.
Dude, this is a good looking dude. This is a really good looking dude.
Biggest Abercrombie & Fitch model, Joe Sayers. He's like huge.
That's a good looking dude.
He was like my little brother. And the thing is, you can't be a predator.
Right.
You can't be a predator. That's why the whole Me Too thing is so great. I think finally it's coming here. You can't do that to people.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not nice. It's not.
I have a gay photographer story that you've sparked.
Okay.
So it had to be 2005, 2006 is when one of my first couple years living in Florida. My friend and I drove.
Florida?
We lived in Stewart, Florida, Mountain County. It's about a half hour north of West Palm Beach.
Okay.
So one weekend we drove down to Key West. All through the night, made it down to Key West.
Love Key West.
Oh, man.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's a world away. My very first time in there.
Amazing.
Fantastic, beautiful place.
Yeah.
We pull up into Key West at about 3:30, 4:30 in the morning and see a couple drag queens hanging out and stuff. All right, cool, we're in the right place. This is a cool, chill place. Right. Saw like 4 drag queens and no cops. So I was like, this is great. I love this place. Screw this place. So we're looking for a place to just pull over and just sleep for a few hours. Right. And we ended up on AIDS Beach.
AIDS Beach?
Yeah, they call it AIDS Beach, man. I hope they changed the name by that.
Was it mean something? Or was it?
Dude, they named it on the sign. It said AIDS Beach, and I'm like, well, okay. Well, this story will make maybe a little bit of sense then. Okay. I don't know. I hope they changed it by then, because that's a really shitty name for a beautiful beach. Gross name. So, anyways, we're sleeping in my Jeep for 3, 4, 5 hours. Sun comes up, and we start seeing activity, people walking around and everything. And we're at this we're parked right in front of the bathroom. So I walk in to go to the bathroom, and I'm still like tired, like I barely slept.
How old are you?
24, 25, and I'm about 30, 40 pounds bigger. Pretty beefy dude.
You were like muscular?
Yeah, yeah. I was pretty big, beefy dude. And I walk in the bathroom, and I'm friendly. I'm talking to whoever wants to talk to me. And this guy just starts talking to me, and clearly a gay guy. And I just thought he was being friendly. And I told him the whole story. He's like, hey, yeah, he's like, oh, do you live around here? You're just visiting? Whatever. I'm like, no, me and my friend, we just drove down through the night. And, we slept in my Jeep. And now we're just here, going to hang out for a day or so. Right. He's like, oh, that's really great. Only problem is, you don't get to shower if you don't have a place to stay. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'll just go swimming or something. Right, and he's like, well, how about this? He's like, I'm a photographer. How about you come back to my place and you could try on some bathing suits or something for me, and then we can trade. And he's like, we can trade, and you could take a shower at my place. Trade for that. That's where it gets a little murky. But he was implying that trade for photos of him taking pictures of me in bathing suits, and then I get to take a shower in return. Was the trade. And I was like, this is a little. Nah, man, that's fine. I appreciate the offer. And I shook his hand, and it was kind of like he wouldn't let go, kind of thing.
Was it greasy?
It was greasy. Yeah, like that's how vivid a memory was. I remember the grease, and he kind of held it like that.
Of course, it was greasy.
And I was just like,
it was in a public bathroom,
dude. It was on AIDS Beach.
On AIDS Beach.
I'm like, bro, and I go back and I tell my friend, and actually my friend saw the tail end of it happening. He's like, what the fuck is this guy talking to Doug? Doug's like, he's like, dude, this guy's trying to bang Doug. Funny. And I tell him the story. He's like, dude, he's just gonna bang you. That's it. And I'm like, yeah, this was weird, but that was creepy. To your point, how could I have trusted that? Who? And in my head, I'm like, how far was this guy willing to go? Is it
he could have been a killer?
Exactly. He could have very well been a killer. It was a little disturbing, but I ended up with the story on it. All I had to do was say no. It wasn't like he was aggressive about it, but it was still welcome to Key West. Yeah. I was oh, this is why there's no cops and I just see drag queens. It's kind of oh, this is almost do whatever you want. People were he was very comfortable in that. We only talked for 4 minutes, and he was already broaching that. I'm like, is this what it's like to be a gay guy?
Well, that you weren't the first person that's happened to.
No, because he asked me very confidently, he had his whole, he had his
shtick, the whole shtick.
Yeah, he had a rehearsed line.
Yeah, he knew exactly what was happening.
Trading for for pictures. So
that's why, yeah, people like that are really scary.
However, if it would have gone just black and white, the way he sold it to me, and I would have just went and taken some pictures and hung out and maybe had a good time, maybe my 250-pound friend was there to protect me, like, it would have been cool to be like, oh yeah, there's probably some gay pictures of me floating around out there.
Right.
Like, that'd be fun to think. Or not.
You know, people like that, yeah, who have an agenda, you have to be very skeptical of. But those are the people that make it, you know, there's nothing I hate. The reason I brought the whole thing up was because there's nothing I hate. Like if I approach somebody on Scruff and I say, I don't want to have sex with you, I want to take a picture, what I'm saying to them is, listen, you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to, and I'm not going to do that. Like I'm going to make sure that when we shoot, there's no, if I hand you clothes, I just hand you. Here's the clothes. Put this on. It's not about. Oh, let me put it on you. It's not. It's not about that. It's, you know what I'm saying. It's like I try to be very. I was a stylist. So I used to dress people for a living. So my first reaction is to put it on you the right way, belt it the right way, do it the right way, because I'm. But you can't do that to everyday people because they're not used to that world. So
have you had any repeat? Repeat offenders, or not offenders, but repeat, like people you met on Scruff, like, hey, can I take your pictures? And then they're just like, hey, let's do this again. Let's do this again.
There's this one kid I'm shooting down, this kid Thor. He's just really, I met him in Albany. He was an underwear model at this bar down there. I just thought, I'm going to photograph you. And he's like, okay. So we exchanged numbers. The next Sunday he came out. We did a beautiful, beautiful shoot. And he was supposed to come again this Saturday, but he had to be in New York City. So yeah, he's going to be like somebody I like to shoot a lot because I don't like to shoot people once. I like to get to know them and shoot more. And
are any of these dudes like building a portfolio? They're like,
yes,
hey,
this kid wants to be a model. Yeah, and he's a really good looking boy. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where he'll take it because once he has the pictures, that's his job. If you want, But yeah.
You also don't have an issue establishing credibility right away. You're like, here's my name, here's some of my stuff.
I don't. Yeah. Like I'm lucky.
Yeah, you are.
I'm lucky. But
because I'm sure there's plenty of dudes that try that route, and they're just like, no, I'm just a guy with a camera. I'm not a professional.
Right. Well, I guess. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm lucky.
So you're telling me, Joe, you're wide open. You're now is. Well, what you got going? I mean, you got many things going for you, but creative men find a way. You find a way through life. Whatever the next route is, you're gonna find it.
I'm trying to figure that out now. I'm working with a headhunter because it's funny because I'm working with this new headhunter who works with people with brain injuries, trying to help them get back jobs in their field. So I met with him twice. The first time we met, I told him about what I did, and I'm a photographer, and I was an editor, and I'm visual. I'm a storyteller. When I take pictures, it's not just one picture. I shoot a series of pictures because I like to tell a story. He didn't really understand that, so I went back for a second meeting, and he had, in the middle, he had asked me to send me my resume. So I emailed him my resume. And he called me up and he said, can we meet on Friday? So I met with him last Friday. I got to his office and he had my resume pulled up. He said, I don't know what you expect of me. And I said, what are you talking about? He's like, well, what kind of job do you think I'm going to get you? Because it's like, my resume is Calvin Klein, Loma Vogue, Italian Vogue, W Magazine. It's like major things. And I know I'm not asking to do that stuff again. I've done that. I don't have to do that again. But he didn't believe me. So I just had this past week, I've been contacting old people I used to work with, asking them for letters of recommendation for him for him to believe it. So I sent him a bunch last week and he got them. And I texted him, I emailed him today. I said, can we get my resume updated? I want to move on this. I'm not comfortable sitting around the house doing nothing. I'm not. I'm not. I'm a worker, and I like it. I want to do something creative. I want to have fun. I want to take pictures or teach or I would like to. I think what I'd be the best at actually is I would love to get a job as like a creative director at a magazine or with Ralph Lauren or with a company like that who kind of you just go in and you find the best in the world and put it together and make something beautiful for them.
Insert talent here,
basically,
and you're go nuts
and have fun, right?
And you're surrounded by creative people. If you're like, that's the problem with dealing with a headhunter. You're not talking to a creative person necessarily.
But he has to kind of know what when I explained to him that it's not just I can just take pictures because he had pulled up for me from I don't know Craigslist or something, all these like jobs, photographers like baby, shoot babies at St. Peter's or shoot weddings. And I was like, I'm not a wedding photographer. I'm not. I don't shoot babies. I don't like babies. I don't. That's not what I do. That's not what I do. So
I think that's my favorite sentence on this podcast so far.
I'm like,
I don't like babies.
I know. I'm not.
But I know what you mean.
There's
only so much art because you need the cooperation of people. You need something you can mold and give guidance to, not just a baby sitting there looking cute, which sells itself. Like anybody can do that. Right. Everyone does. Facebook, Instagram. Just
and that's the thing.
It's easy.
That's funny because, so one of the guys I shot last weekend I had 3 boys I shot. The last one who showed up was very shy, very handsome. Like, I think he was from El Salvador. Maybe El Salvador. Very handsome boy. Beautiful body. And I said to him, when he first got to my house, I showed him my books, and he was like impressed. And I said, but tell me why you said yes. Like, what do you want to get out of this? And he said, I just want to take some pictures. He's like, I'm kind of shy, and I thought it would be fun. So when I was shooting him, you have to pull, as a photographer, you have to pull out. You have to make the people you have to make them believe what you're selling, like what you want to sell. Like I was trying to say to him, like he was just in a pair of Calvin Klein underwear and he was leaning against the wall and the light was beautiful. It was a really beautiful shadow behind him, and I said, so turn to me, just look at me, but just ever so slightly. And I said, when you're looking at my camera, I said, don't look at the camera. I said, think of me as I'm somebody that you see that you're attracted to. I said, what are you going to do to make me attracted to you? Move your body, touch yourself. Like, let me see in your eyes what is there, because you can't voice it. We're not going to put type on this, but what is it? And he just suddenly started moving this really beautiful, simple way. I shot it, and I got it in a couple of seconds. I said, "Now, was that hard?" He's like, "No." He's like, "I can't believe I did that." I said, but you have to know who you're working with, and you have to pull out how to make them feel sexy and how to make them feel beautiful. You know what I mean?
I think I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. I think it's if I can equate it to this, it's the first 10 minutes of sitting and podcasting with someone. Like it's supposed to be intimate. Like we're one-on-one talking here, and I need you to feel comfortable. Like I just both of us need to feel comfortable with what we're talking about, and I need you to reveal who Joe is. Right. So that first 10 minutes is just like, hey man, this is cool. Tell me what you want to tell me. Let's talk. Sell me you. Show me your world. Right? Like you did to Mr. El Salvador. It's like you're kind of telling him, show me your world. Show me who you are.
But make me believe.
And you got to tease it out. Right. You're right. You got to tease it
little by little, because they first have to know that they can trust you. They have to know that you won't betray them.
There's no agenda. Like really, this is artistic.
Right. This is right. There's no agenda. It's just we're just here to do something beautiful.
We're chronicling human existence.
Right.
Yeah. Show me who you are.
I'm dating this guy. Well, I don't know if I'm dating. I hope I'm dating. I think I'm dating this guy. I'm just sorry. It's a new thing, but
man, dating sounds so confusing. Because you're not the only one who talks like that. Like, I think we're dating. I'm not sure. Like, how do you have that conversation? How do you know when you're dating or not?
With this guy, I think we're dating because we both, the way we reacted to each other from the get-go was different from how I acted with other people. Like he kind of just showed up in my life by accident, and he had no agenda either. I mean, he had one agenda, to have sex. I was in a different place when he walked in anyway, I think we both kind of came at a time, like, things only happen when they're supposed to happen. You only meet people when you're supposed to meet them at the right day, the right time. Like, everything happens for a reason. And I was in a place, all these things I was feeling, and he was in a place where all these things you were feeling, and they kind of combined on this one afternoon, and it just made sense. You know what I mean? Like, I felt relaxed. Like, it's usually, if you're dating someone or you're on an app and you meet someone, it's for a sex hookup or whatever. Like I was saying, like, I like to get to know the person, but with this guy, it was more than that. Like, it was something really...
Something that didn't have to be explained?
Yeah, and something that just happened so naturally that and then when he left, I was really depressed. I was like, wow, because that was the best thing that, like, it was, he made me believe in myself, and he made me believe in love, and he made me believe that being in a relationship is possible, and he made me believe that all these things that I had doubted, I didn't have to doubt. Like, all of a sudden they were right there. And they were there without an agenda, without I don't know, just really nice. I'm hoping. I don't know.
It's incredible to meet special people, right? Because it's so rare. Sometimes you meet a person that makes an impact on you.
I mean, it's so rare.
It's it's exceedingly rare.
So that's why when it happens, he, I realized, I was like, I don't want to. This isn't something I just want to. Today was just Tuesday or whatever, and just whatever happens. Like, I made an effort. Like, that's what people don't do anymore. They don't make efforts. They don't,
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to fight for it a little bit. You have to, if it's worth it, you have to fight for it a little bit. And everyone's so self-obsessed and selfies and this and that. It's like they forget what it means to be human, but also what it means to, when you care about something, change yourself. You have to change yourself a little bit sometimes too. And that's okay. It's not that you have to give up who you are, but just...
Has it been a long time since you met someone, you connected, and then they left, and then you were depressed? Like, when they left, you're like, oh, man, I want that person back here.
Yeah, it's been years.
It's a crazy feeling, right?
Yeah.
So what's your follow-up with this dude then?
I'm going to go see him tomorrow. He's in Vermont. He's a nurse in Vermont.
Those are good stats.
Yeah.
A nurse who lives in Vermont?
And visually, he's spectacular. I mean, like, spectacular. And I know spectacular. Really. You know what I mean? It's like, I have a, I'm yeah.
Visual is your life.
Yeah. Like, I said to him, like, after the first, because when we hooked up, it was like, for the first 3 hours, we just talked. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It was like, we just talked, and he was asking me about my dog, who just passed away, and that destroyed me. And he had a dog who just passed away, and so it was like, it was a lot more. It's just I got to know him. I don't know what we're talking about.
Love. I think it's all under the umbrella of love.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about your dog, buddy, but I'll let you in on something. Like we've been neighbors for whatever. I mean, we just moved up the hill 3 weeks ago, but we were neighbors for about a year and a half, 2 years, and saw you all the time with Buddy. Buddy, right? And when you told me Buddy died, which, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 months ago, whatever it was, my girlfriend and I went from seeing you pretty frequently on the streets, didn't see you, and we would talk about you. And like, Joe, like, I had no idea what your last name was or much of any of your story beyond that, besides a couple times we spoke on the street. But I was like, I'm starting to miss that guy. Like, his dog, I know his dog just died, and what a great dog, and I could tell he loved that dog. Shit, I know. Dude, I'll tell you a dog story tomorrow about what happened yesterday, too, to follow this up, so it's not all on you. But I was like, man, haven't seen him for months, and that makes me really concerned, because I understand that love, that you have best friends. You know, a dog is a best friend. It's legit. It sucks when something bad happens to them. So I'll take that pressure off for you so you don't have to respond, but we were thinking about you for many months. Okay. So yesterday, my girlfriend and I, we went for a hike up a mountain in Vermont, and my little dog, 20 pounds, he's a year and like a couple months old, love him to death, little Shiba Inu, beautiful, happy dog, great with other dogs, super social, really friendly, fantastic dog, love him to death. Multiple dogs were out on this trail, and anytime somebody would come with another dog, hey, is your dog friendly? Hey, is your dog friendly? We'd have him on a leash, because he belongs on a leash. He's still young. Another couple years maybe before. Like, Buddy was exceptional. Buddy was exceptional, never on a leash, and that was a great dog to see off the leash. So anyways, but we'd still be like, okay, we're keeping him on a leash, always control, especially out here. But everybody else had, their dogs were not on leashes, and every time we'd see someone come up, they'd be like, hey, is your dog friendly? Yup, he's friendly, he's fine. And this woman came up with her dog, a big old black lab. And it's like, is your dog friendly? Yeah, he is. And I had him in heel, sitting right next to me, just because that's what we do. We wait to see, you know, if that person's going to stop their dog or what. Right. She's like, okay, my dog's friendly too. That dog comes right up to my dog. Like, my dog's just totally just like, okay, cool, we're about to say hi. And just totally sitting there, just relaxed. All of a sudden, this freaking 120-pound dog, like 6 times my dog's size, just started attacking him. Really? Had my dog in his mouth. Oh, my God. I had to jump down on the ground, and I was trying to choke that dog out to get it off. I couldn't see my dog. Oh, my God. I couldn't see him for 5 seconds. I had no idea what was happening. I was just trying to choke that dog out. I finally got it off of him, and he has fur just missing, and he's cut under here. Like, the dog had him by his throat.
Were you far away on the trail? Could you get back to the trail and get to
no, we were right on the trail. We were right on the trail. I was with my...
Were you far from, like, your car?
Yeah, we had just an hour and a half up the mountain, and we were just about 20 minutes on our way down. So we still had another hour or so to get to the bottom. And my dog had just climbed up the mountain, came down, and I was just like, you know, he was doing so awesome. Like, he had no breaks or anything.
How is he now?
He's fine. He's just missing a bunch of fur, a little blood here and there. And the thing is, he's being a Shiba Inu, he has double coat, he has really thick coat, so he was just missing a bunch of fur. I don't even know if he thought it was a fight, because he didn't yelp, he didn't really, had no, it wasn't even a fight, it was an attack. Like, he was sitting there completely vulnerable, and just like, oh, we're about to play. And this 120-pound dog just, scary. And I damn near lost it, like, because that's my best friend that got attacked. I was screaming. I terrified several people on the trail. There were like 4 other people walking by. And I was in a different world because, you know, you attacked my best friend, and we're just sitting here vulnerable, and you're telling me your dog's friendly, and is it okay is my dog the problem? And my dog was totally just like, oh, we're about to play, and just pounced on. Dude, I saw red. I saw absolute red. So yesterday was anger. Today I'm just like bummed out. Right. Like, I'm really bummed out that I let that happen. But I also didn't, but I did, because... you're supposed to protect your best friends, and she broke the social contract, whatever that is. Like, her dog, like, dude, it was...
That happened to us once. Buddy was a baby, and... No, not even a baby, because Buddy was so gentle. He was really so gentle.
I love that dude.
He was so gentle. And one day, here in Troy, actually, I had him over by... Monument Square, and this guy with a big white dog started, and he had the dog on a leash, and he said, "But, you know, is he friendly?" I said, "Yeah." So, because Buddy would go over and just want to say hi to everybody, and this dog started immediately started to attack him, and I just lost it. I just lost it. I don't remember what happened. I just grabbed, you know, Buddy, and it was like that. It was just like it was a manic couple of seconds. But yeah, that's your best friend. It's your baby.
Yeah, you like you're angry, but you don't even. Like I felt like that guy probably made you feel the same way. Like I don't want to have to hurt your dog. Like I'm sitting there like trying to choke her dog out, and like thinking about picking up that rock that was there and bashing it on her. And I'm like, I don't want to do this.
You don't want to, but
I don't want to do this.
But
so I just sat there like face to face with her dog after I got my dog away. I'm just like, I don't want to hurt you. And then she just sat right there too. And I'm like, oh God, this isn't good. And I was just like, I'm really glad it was a woman, because if it was a guy, I was just so angry that I was put in that position to take care of this little dog I've been taking care of for over a year, like really protecting him. And then all of a sudden, just dude, I will say, happy note. I circle around back to Buddy. Because when we first moved, we lived right near Washington Park. So we used to see you guys walking around all the time. And within the first few days of living there, saw you walking around with Buddy and just how cool he was and how cool he was with you. And my girlfriend and I are like, I like this neighborhood. Like, it's the kind of neighborhood where a dude can walk around with a chill dog that just wants to say hi to people. Like, I love that. Did you have a replacement? Not a replacement. But I felt like I saw you with a dog like a month or two ago.
I babysit my neighbor's dog.
All right.
I babysit her. I'll tell you a great dog story. So it's a really sad story because it was Buddy's last moments. When Buddy was a big dog. He was 120 pounds. And when the last 2 months of his life, he couldn't get up the stairs. We live on a second floor with a deck outside, a carriage house. And I had one friend who was living with us for a while who was literally carrying Buddy up and down the stairs to get to pee and poop and stuff and get him outside to socialize. So, anyway, I'm telling too much of the story. Anyway, one day, Buddy's my first pet. So I had no idea. First of all, I had no idea that that it was even possible to connect with an animal. I had no idea. I had no idea that there would be this bond that was just magic. It was like this, like unbreakable, really. Buddy and I were homeless together. I was on the streets at one point with my brain injury. My brain injury when I got better and everyone thought I was better. I moved back to New York to get my life back. This is 5 years ago. I moved into Jersey City because I couldn't afford New York anymore. So I moved to Jersey City, and just that I became a hermit and I became scared, and so at one night I was walking home from a friend's house and I got attacked by a kid wielding a brick who just beat my mouth in, like beat my face in. I had to have all my teeth removed, everything. He just beat my teeth in. It was the gang initiation. He ran, never saw him again. I was in a hate crime apartment. I had a landlord who was telling the neighbors upstairs I was a faggot. I was dying of AIDS. Yes, she was showing the heat and hot water. I was in court for months with her. She was stealing my mail, and she would call police saying I bit her. I punched her. Also, she's crazy Polish bitch. The apartment I got after the hate crime apartment, I got in Brooklyn. I didn't have a roommate, so I found a roommate on Craigslist who then we made one account. I was paying him rent. He was sending the rent to the landlord. So I thought, but he was really stealing my money. He stole $12,000 and then moved out in the middle of the night, and we got evicted. And I had been calling my parents, telling them all these things are happening to me. All these bad things are happening to me. It was my brain injury. They thought I was on drugs because these things were so extreme and so ridiculous. And how could this happen to somebody? So my mother she chose to use, because of my, listening to my sister and my aunt, and he's trouble, he's on drugs, and they used tough love, and they turned their backs on me. And basically all it did was put a really sick person out on the streets, and it basically ruined me. It basically, I had no one help me. Like all my friends, everyone thought I was a drug addict, and I wasn't. I remember on the streets when I called my mother crying, please let me back. Like let Buddy and I come back home. And nope, she wouldn't help me till I helped myself. Which, how can you help yourself when you have a brain injury and you don't know what's going on? So I don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about Buddy. So the last night, Buddy's last night. I didn't know. Buddy was laying in bed. He had lost the use of his legs. Whenever he peed or pooped, he would go out on the deck, but I was holding his butt up so he could poop. You know what I mean? I got really bad. To pee, I had to hold him up. And so the last day, my friend Kurt came over and he was smoking a cigarette outside on the deck. And I looked at him and I said, Kurt, when do I know? When do I know when to end this? Because it's not, He just looked at me and said, you'll know. And right after that, maybe 20 minutes later, Buddy went to get up to go to the bathroom. And he went off the bed. He went off the bed and he just went flat on the floor. I was like crying hysterical. I'm trying to pick him up, and at that point he's dead weight. Basically, I'm trying to get him up on the bed. I got him up on the bed, and he looked at me and he just went like, made this noise, and I called the vet right then. And I said, they said we can come now or tomorrow morning. I said now. I can't put him through this for another moment. So I went out the back door and I yelled, Melora, my neighbor. And she came over with her dog, Daisy, and her daughter. And so, imagine this. So Buddy's on the bed. I'm on the floor, holding him, petting him. Melora's behind him and her daughter. And then Iris, this other dog, this standard poodle with a little, she has like a bob. She was there too. And at one point, Buddy made a noise, and she got up and she walked straight over to Buddy, and his face was at the edge of the bed, and she went over and she kissed him, and then she went right back and sat down. And I looked at Melora. I said, did you see that? She's like, that was so weird. It was like a kiss. And I said, I wonder what that was about. And so anyway, Buddy, the vet came and we had to put Buddy down. The next morning, and every morning since, Iris comes over. And it's like, Buddy said to her, just take care of my dad. She does. Every day she comes over, she sits with me. She was just over the house for like 3 hours. I make her breakfast and I make her hamburgers. And I didn't know that there was so much love with a dog. I didn't know it was possible. I had no idea what the interaction was. Like, people have said my best friend. But that's like, it's like beyond a friend, because it's someone who understands you but doesn't speak to you. I mean, they speak to you with just, I don't know, it's just I never knew that was possible. I never knew that it would have an effect on me like that. He's the love of my life. We went through some more stuff together when I was homeless, because after we got evicted, I was literally on the streets of New York City for 2 months. And I had 5 backpacks and Buddy. And any money I had, I made sure he had food and, and water. And I made him a service dog after that, only that because we couldn't get into any shelters because they don't take dogs. And I did not, there was no way I was going to have him taken from me. There was no way. And that's the thing I was saying to my mom. I'm like, listen, I'm with Buddy. I'm taking care of him. Like, I'm trying to get off the streets, and like no one would help me. So yeah, it's just nice to know that spiritually in the world, like Buddy said something to Iris that day. She came over, she kissed him, and she did it. She, you know what I mean? She's my angel now. Like, she keeps me company. I babysit her whenever Malloy goes out of town, and she sleeps late. She curls right up in bed with me and takes care of me. And yeah, I didn't know that was possible. It's amazing.
Magic is real. Love is real.
Yeah.
It's all real. Yeah.
It is.
Man. All right, Joe. That's a great story to wrap this up with, I think.
That's a good
before
one.
Before we start crying about dogs more, because it's...
Well, I'm a crier. I cry more than probably anybody else you'll ever meet. Like, I cry all the time.
I'm in that same boat.
You?
Oh, yes.
I can be at the grocery store and just start bawling about anything. I show my emotions. Yeah.
All right, Joe, let's do this again.
Yeah, totally.
Good talking to you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, Joe Oppedisano, comeback story, American style. You got it, man.
Let me come back and then
You're New York, but that's what I mean. The story is ongoing.
Yeah.
You're a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And you're alive, and you're not gonna quit.
Yeah.
All right. Great talking to you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Peace out, world.
Bye.
I am very